Sam Bankman-Fried. He's in the same unit as Diddy.
Bankman had a Google document with ideas to get him out of all of this. And number 3 was...
Sam Bankman-Fried is currently in prison. Went to trial because he says he's not guilty, even though when you lay out exactly what he did and you listen to him explain what he did, he's 100% guilty. Like, he's one of these guys that he's typically the smartest guy in the room. And so nobody questions him. And I guess he thought he was going to go to trial, get on the stand or do whatever, and just explain away what had happened with FTX. So he thought he was going to explain. Oh, his lawyers, who wouldn't listen to him. While he was out on bond, he was doing podcasts. He's doing interviews and podcasts. His lawyers are screaming, "What are you doing? Stop doing that!" And he's answering pointed questions. He's like, "No, you don't understand what we did. What we did was we released this cryptocurrency that we were," and he's trying to explain it. And then as people would ask him questions, he would try and spin it. And then they'd be like, "Sam, in your operating agreement, you said you would not do this, but then you did." And you go, "No, and then you try to explain it, and you're like, "I understand what you're saying, but that's not what the operating agreement.
That's not what happened."
Yeah, you're lying." And so he's not used to that because he's running the company. He's surrounded himself by yes men who were making big money for doing nothing. So he then went to trial and once again thought, "Oh, I can spin it. I'll be able to get this." Goes to trial, loses, gets 25 years. Now he's in prison. I believe he's probably appealing his case, which is another mistake. Because on a large case, there's always going to be issues, right? Appealable issues. Whether or not you can prove to the court that those appealable issues would have resulted in less time is another matter. So he's appealing his case. He's being held right now. I believe he's in BOP custody or Marshall's custody. Either way, he's in the same unit as Diddy. Tucker Carlson had like a primetime show, and he also was an anchor for Fox News. They eventually fired him. He got into multiple times. There was a couple lawsuits against him, and eventually they let him go. Maybe he quit. I don't really know exactly what happened, but I believe that there were some issues, and they parted way. He then started his own podcast, and it brought in huge numbers. And so now he's kind of a conservative host that interviews other people, and he's a little bit. Like, he's interviewed Putin. It's amazing because he's kind of, I don't want to say, he comes off very silly sometimes, right? Like, smart, but he laughs about stuff. Like, we just watched that one video. Like, he's laughing about Diddy and tell him we said hi. And,
you see Diddy?
Yeah, give him it. It's like, yeah, bro, like, that's probably not, like, I'm sure you want to be laughing and in the same sentence as Diddy. But yeah, he ends up interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried. And so they have remote visitation. So what happens is he does an interview with him, and the next day, Sam Bankman-Fried gets thrown in the shoe. So I don't think a lot of people realize that me being a high-profile inmate in federal prison, I was in Coleman Low. In general, not just me, but in general, it's called a public information officer. So there's a staff member that is the public information officer for Coleman, for the whole compound, in Coleman, there's two pins, a medium, a low, and a camp. They have one guy who determines whether or not you can be interviewed. And then he sits in on the interview. Because I've been interviewed multiple times by newspaper reporters, by media. Like, I've been brought down to the warden's office or assistant warden's office and interviewed. This guy sat here the whole time. Been interviewed by reporters. This guy sat in the thing the whole time. And just sat there and listened. Well, I've also been interviewed like Sam Bankman-Fried, not remotely, where I just got on the phone and talked to the person who was a reporter. But they never caught it. But you were supposed to get permission to be interviewed by this guy. Obviously, Sam Bankman-Fried did not get permission. And so once the Bureau of Prisons, the BOP, saw the interview, they came and they arrested him. I mean, arrested him. That's what we would call it in prison. We also, you don't call the
going to jail.
You don't call the COs in prison, right? You don't call them guards or COs. You call them cops. You're like, hey, where's the cop? They're not cops.
This is a fact.
But you call them cops, and then you say, "Yo, bro, he got arrested, bro. Like he went to the shoe."
Yeah. What man? Oh, he in jail.
Yeah, he in jail. Exactly.
Yeah,
We're already in jail. It's so funny too. Like I'm lucky because when I got out, I would say stuff like that. I had to constantly stop myself, and now I'm at the point where I say COs, the shoe, whatever. But yeah, so he. I have no doubt he was. They called him one day. You know how it works. The lieutenant walks in, CO walks in.
Talk to you in a
Hey,
talk to you.
Cox, come here for a second. Of course, in the low or the medium, they call you down to like the lieutenant's office, and you'd be like, "What is going on?" No, that's never a good thing.
Yeah, no. He's never calling you to wish you happy birthday.
No, he's never saying, "Hey, wanted to let you know, wow, you're just doing a great job here."
Is that all your game time?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow, you've been
giving you a raise on your job. It's not what's happening.
A whole nickel.
So you go down there, and then, and so yeah, typically you go down there, and they go, Cox, yes, come here, stand here. Yeah, what's up? And then they go, did you? And then they whatever, such and such, say such and such, and do such and such. A cop, who is this that you called? And then they'll play some fucking thing. You're like, oh, that's my brother. How come you called? And then they'll ask you something. And then you're like, yeah, this is what happened. They're like, oh, okay. Turn around, cuff up.
No, but what happened was...
Yeah. Exactly. And then next thing you know, you got some other fucking CO walking behind you and putting cuffs on you, and then they walk you to the shoe, and they put you in the shoe, and you still don't know what the fuck you did.
Yep. No, we'll look into it, which means you're about to sit.
2 weeks from now, you're gonna get called out. Maybe in 2 weeks they'll call you out and call you into a little room and sit down, and it'll be some other guy you don't really know. He's like, okay, what did you do again? You're like, fuck, I've been here 2 weeks. What do you mean, what do I do again? So I can't tell you, almost every time I've been to shoe, I had no idea why I went. And it took well, that's not true. One time I knew exactly what it was, and they let me out the next day. I don't even know why they locked me out.
Every time I went to confinement, I knew exactly
really
why. Oh, yeah. I was definitely I was an athlete. So I'm on the football field, I'm on the basketball. I ran with that circuit of guys. I wasn't in the law libraries or anything. I ran with that circuit. And because I went with that athletics, it was always something on the basketball court, something on the football field, something on the...
Or an argument. Or
arguments. Yeah, you know how we are. It's 2-3. We're going to play another game, but this game is important. Every game is the championship. Every single game is the championship.
They would have, what they used to have at Coleman? They had flag football.
Yep.
Flag football is not what you think it is in prison. Yeah, these guys are.
It's aggressive flag football.
Yeah, guys are still
shirts are getting torn,
fist fights, kicking, falling over, banging, slamming into each other. Yeah. It's
aggressive contact sport.
It was so bad that I think they made them stop doing it. They had a relay race one time where the guy broke his ribs because he dove. He had to. One part of the relay is you jumped on a slip and slide.
Oh,
slip and slide.
I don't even know why they would include that.
And as you went on the slip and slide, you had to grab a little a flag or a whatever. It was just a piece of cloth. So they had a line, and you had slid under it, and you had to grab it, and then you would win. This guy ran the whole way, and when he got to the part where you go, he dove up in the air and came down. It's like, you understand the slip and slide, which is really just plastic, right?
Plastic garbage bags
with water on it.
Some concrete.
You do understand that it was on the shell track. Like, this is basically might as well be concrete. You just jumped 3 feet in the air, so you're now going to fall 4 feet onto concrete and slide. Broke his ribs.
Well, these aren't the smartest.
No. Gangsters. Anyway, so yeah, SBF did a whole thing on with Tucker Carlson and got thrown in the shoe. I wonder if he knew.
Well, did you see? I don't know if did I text it to you. There is he had a kind of game plan for him to come out. It's a Bankman had a Google document with ideas to get him out of all of this. And number 3 was go on Tucker Carlson and come out as a Republican. I texted you the document. There's like 14 different things that he,
Is this legitimately?
This is what CoffeeZilla tweeted. So I tried to go in the Twitter to see like any responses and say like this is fake or this is real. I didn't see anything, but this was posted by CoffeeZilla, who did some reporting on the whole type of thing as well.
On Tucker Carlson, he was saying that it was in bankruptcy, and if they'd allowed me to continue, it would have this. That's irrelevant. You're borrowing funds. You're borrowing funds from money that investors had put in that you specifically said you would not borrow from. Like you're using funds that were supposed to be secured in order to make loans to another company. Like the whole thing it's a big Ponzi scheme. It's a big.
That's the words that were going in my head. Sounds Ponzi.
Yeah, it's he's moving the. You know what I'm saying? He's moving the cups with the. And in the end, he's saying if you just let me keep going, it wouldn't have collapsed at all. I would have made the money back. I would have stopped. That's what everybody that runs a Ponzi scheme says. Nice. If I just had a couple good months, I could have made all that money back. Yeah, I understand. But for the last 4 years, you've been lying to people. Right. You've been paying you've been paying old investors with new investor money. Or you've been borrowing out of the new investor money to pay the old investors. Or you've been borrowing from funds that, a Ponzi scheme typically means that you're taking new investors' money and you're paying dividends to old investors. But they also tend to use it where people are investing in some kind of a fund and you're taking money out of that fund for other reasons. Maybe you're not repaying investors. You're just taking that money out to do anything. Or it's, commingling funds, or it's and then he's doing all of that. He's running a Ponzi scheme. He's embezzling funds. He's doing all kinds of things with these. He's borrowing against funds that are supposed to be secured. So he's doing all kinds of stuff that is completely illegal. There's no one specific scam that he was running.
I don't know. I kind of like him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sentenced to 25 years, and he was ordered to pay $11 billion.
How many years?
25.
25.
And ordered to pay $11 billion in forfeiture. Billion. Like
with a B.
Yeah.
He's good for it, bro. He's good for it. Look at the guy's hair. A guy with hair like that.
So how long do you think he'll do on 25 years?
If he doesn't get any time knocked off?
Yeah.
21?
Yeah. No, because
if he doesn't get any time knocked off.
Even you're thinking 15% off. I'm saying he's allowed to get up to another like 30% off because of the First Step Act. First Step Act?
Yeah, I've heard it before. Yeah.
So the First Step Act says that if you program, you can earn.
Oh yeah,
it's like I don't know what it is, 20 or 30% off. It's toward halfway house. But the thing is, you get the halfway house or home confinement. So you leave, they put an ankle monitor on you, and you're allowed to basically live your life. I'm allowed to go to the grocery store. I'm allowed to go to work. I'm allowed to go to church. I'm allowed to go to the gym. Like while I'm on my, so I could do 5 or 10 years. So he might end up doing 15 years or maybe 14 years on 25.
Yeah, because he's whatever it is, he's going to get.
He's been locked up like 4 years, right?
2 years. Yeah.
2 years. I think he was out on bond for 6 months or a year before they yanked his bond for just being stupid.
So right now he's still fighting his case. Is that right?
I believe he's appealing.
He kind of like in that holding cell. Like when do you think it'll eventually happen where he goes to actual
prison?
Yeah.
I'm shocked that look, here's the thing. I know guys that have spent 6-7 years in like the Marshals holdover while they're fighting their case. But typically what happens is they move them almost immediately. Now, in his case, he may have made, he got found guilty, sentenced. And in his case, his lawyers may have petitioned or made a motion to the judge saying, can you please hold him here so we have access to him? Because if you move this guy to Coleman, Florida, or you move him to Talladega, like we're in New York, Your Honor. If he gets moved to Lompoc, California, how are we going to be able to work with this guy? Where now we can actually go, and keep in mind too, these lawyers are bilking the hell out of his family. These lawyers are just, and his family, I'm sure, no doubt, is raising money from friends and relatives. So these guys are where a normal lawyer, if you're a public defender, they're like, yeah, just send him to prison because we don't want to have to deal with this guy all the time. But these lawyers are billing the shit out of him. So they're like, I'll spend the next 4 years visiting this guy. Because every time I go, it's a couple $1,000s here, couple $1,000s there. I go there, I spend 3 hours, I bill $2,000, and then I go back and I work on all this stuff. I'm billing $600 an hour. Like I'm making I'm making $5,000 to $6,000 a day with this guy being close. And he, of course, is constantly saying, when are you going to come back again? So he wants me to keep coming back. So that's going to drag this whole thing out. So, But if he gets moved to Coleman, I'm doing this all on a phone call. I'd rather not do it on a phone call.
And then the loved one gets far off, and the love gets less, and the appeals get spaced out more. Yeah, they want them close.
Yeah. And the family, I was going to say the family too, they're not able to see him as much. They're not able to that pressure. And the lawyers are constantly telling them like, once we file this motion, or I feel good about this, or this is a good argument. But the truth is they know.
They know.
You're done, bro. You got 25 years. You owe $1 billion.
So what do you think him and Diddy, like, do you think they talk much? I mean, I listened to the podcast. He said they talk a little bit. He said he was nice. But like, so in a normal, I know this is like a special prison for high profile inmates, but in a normal federal prison, would someone like SBF and Diddy be talking, hanging out?
I think Diddy in a normal federal prison, well, one, depending on how much time Diddy gets, I don't necessarily know that they would eventually end up at the same spot. It's very possible they end up at the same spot. But initially, I think Diddy will get so much time, he probably ends up at a medium because of his charges. If he gets 25 or 30 years, he'll end up at a medium initially. Maybe. He may just go, no, he'll end up at a medium.
Why are they going to give him time?
Who, Diddy?
Yeah, what did he do? That's illegal.
Well, when they raided the houses, they found guns that were in his possession that had like the serial numbers were defaced. This is your house. You live here. These are your guns.
By guns, how many were there?
Multiple. I know there were multiple. I think one was an AK-47 or some kind of an assault rifle.
So maybe 4.
Maybe. It doesn't matter. It's like 25-year mandatory minimum. You have an AK-47 with and it may not. I believe, but one of them was an assault rifle. Even if it's just a handgun, you're in trouble. You can't have guns or weapons that are defaced. Okay, it's a problem.
What else was it?
So the other things are they have text messages and supposedly recordings where he is having other people. So you've got people that work for you who are acquiring I'm going to say prostitutes, right? Sex workers in other states that you're paying to fly in to perform sexual acts. And you have text messages to back it up, and you have people that are willing to get on the stand, and you have the sex workers that are saying, yes, I was in California, or I was in whatever. I was in, I don't know, Texas or New York, and I was flown. He flew me across the country to go to a party where where I had sex with him and 4 other people. Okay. Well, that's sex trafficking. Like that's a definition of sex trafficking. Even though you can sit here and say, well, it was a prostitute. Doesn't matter. They crossed state lines. You knew it was a prostitute. That's the point. It's a prostitute. This isn't prostitution. It's sex trafficking. There's multiple of those. Once again, those are big charges. Now, the other charges, there are alleged charges, which he hasn't been charged for, which is like underage kids. But we don't know any of that's true. Like he hasn't been charged for any of that. People, that's a big thing. There's videotapes that show him with underage this and that's all allegations. That's not what's in the RICO. And what they're saying is that he ran an organization, his record label, that not only engaged in sex trafficking, but then supposedly used his influence to threaten and coerce witnesses to not testify against him or work with the government. And keep in mind, this is not. There's a lot of accusations. There's a lot of people ready to get on the stand, but it's such a leap to say that his record label is an organization that was designed to do this. Like, that's what they're really kind of saying. He's using it as an organization to do sex trafficking. Like, come on, man, stop it, bro. Stop. You don't need to do it. I don't think that's true at all. I think you've got an organization that this is his business. And I think this is something he did on the side. But by using RICO, they'll always give him some really big charges. Right. So do I think he broke the law? I think he broke the law. Do I think he deserves time? I think he probably deserves time. Maybe he deserves 10. I think if he could take a plea for 10 or 15 years right now, he should take it. The problem is they're trying to give him like 30, 40, 50 years. Why do you think he deserves 10 years? I think if you've got those guns.
Here's the 3 counts, by the way. Count 1, Diddy racketeering conspiracy. Count 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, coercion. Count 3, Diddy transportation to engage in prostitution are the 3. This is just off a news website that were listed.
Right. So those are, okay, when I say I think that he should take those charges, it's not because I think, let's get rid of the let's get rid of the underage children accusations, okay? Because we do not know that those are true. So let's just go with what they're saying. He's flying in professionals, right, to commit acts, and he's paying them. It's illegal. So that's the charge, right? And those people are ready to testify saying that they were threatened and coerced with weapons.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case.
Well, I'm telling you what they're charging.
Right.
And he's got the weapons. So if they're saying, So they're saying, and the weapons are weapons that are defaced. We don't know how you procured them. They're not in your name. And these types of weapons, the reason they don't like these weapons are these are weapons that we can't track and they're disposable. Yeah. I only bought that weapon so I could use it on you and get rid of it. It doesn't come back to me. Even if it's found later, it doesn't come back to me. I didn't buy it in my name. You don't know how it got here. You don't even know if you can track that weapon at all because it's been defaced. We don't even know that you're going to figure out where it came from. Even if you find it and I bought it legally, you can't tie me to that weapon because I bought one and it was stolen. Well, we think this is the weapon. Doesn't have a serial number on it. So you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So what they're saying is, and that's the whole RICO section, right? Like it's all interconnected. What I'm saying is, why do I think if he could get 10 or 15 years, he should take it? I'm saying that not because I think he deserves to go to jail. I don't personally, based on the charges and what probably really happened, I don't think he deserves 10 or 15 years. Maybe he deserves 5 or 10, whatever. I do think that he's got a thug mentality, and I think he threatened people. I think he's got defaced weapons, and there's no reason for you to have those weapons. I think you've threatened people, and I think you've threatened. He's coerced and threatened witnesses. That bothers me. You know what I'm saying? It bothers me. You and I have a dispute. You threaten me, whatever it is. You know, the police come, you get arrested, and then you go to my family or you send people to my house and you, absolutely not. Let's let the courts take care of it. You don't have people contact these people. You don't send people. Like he's not somebody who's following the rules. So
I don't think any of those powerful people follow the rules.
Right. So I think if he could get 10 or 15 years, if he could get 20, he should take it because he could probably be out in 12. But because my whole thing is, if you think you're going to go to trial and win this against the feds, you're going to end up with 40 years. He's going to end up with 40 years, and he's going to wish to God he'd taken 15 and done less than 10, 9 years.
I think Diddy in his pride, he won't want to cop out to anything.
That's what everybody says.
I think he would rather lose.
You're right. I think he doesn't think he can lose.
Right. Well, he's been on top of everything for eons. Big, powerful people like that, and the Bill Cosby and all that. That perversion centers around their ego.
Well, you know, the other thing is, keep in mind too, everybody's like, oh, he's got the best lawyers. Listen, bro, I don't think people realize what lawyers are. Yeah. These lawyers will milk you. They'll tell you things knowing you're done. Your best bet right now, We got an offer on the table right now for 12. You should take it. Instead, yeah, they're offering you 12, bro. I'm telling you, if we go to
Let's
trial,
fight.
fuck them. I'm telling you, we can beat this.
Let's fight and let's fight hard.
Give me another 300,000. You already gave me 300. Give me another 300. Let's go to trial.
Let's go to trial.
And then when you lose, we're going to appeal it.
We're gonna appeal this.
Yeah.
That's BS. I'll tell you that.
We can beat this in the appellate court. You know how unfair that was, Diddy. Yeah, man, they were against us. Yeah, give me another 200,000. And the truth is, these guys know they're losing at every single. So by the time they're done, they've got $1 million out of you over the next 3 years.
Bled you dry.
Right. And honestly, the lawyers are doing very little of the work. Paralegals are doing most of the work.
Yep.
And so you're done. You're done, and you don't know any better. And
It's the way of the world.
And keep in mind too, like you said, these guys you're on an inmate phone. He's buying minutes from other inmates. You see what I'm saying? Like you just can't follow the rules. So yeah.
And he hasn't followed the rules for I don't know how long.
Right.
He's not going to start now.
So far it's been working for him. But the problem is with the feds, it typically doesn't work for you.
It doesn't. Not feds. Feds are state is different.
No, you can win at the state
You
because
can
it's
win at the state level.
Unfortunately, the state plays by the rules. The feds don't, and people think the feds play by the rules and the state doesn't.
I was just thinking that it was the
It's
opposite.
the exact opposite. The state is actually more fair than the feds when it comes to court.
Well, I just recently got some the AirPod Maxes.
Oh my gosh, they're nice.
They are
noise canceling?
the most perfect headphones
Yes.
I've ever put over my ears.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy
hate
them.
that.
I didn't buy them myself because I was like, I'm not going to spend that much money on headphones. And
How much were they?
They're $600 headphones.
They're like, yeah, I think I thought 500. Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So I know somebody who knows somebody
Fell off a truck?
that fell off a truck out of state. $250. I got these things for.
I bought
Sensational.
I bought 2 for $250 off AliExpress. And they just weren't as they didn't have that wow factor. When you put these things on your head at Best Buy,
Wow.
you just put them on and you just think, okay, it's a pair of headphones. You put it on and they have the noise canceling and it's just like I could see your mouth moving and wouldn't even hear you. Noise canceling.
They're super comfortable. Just how they're shaped. They're iPhone. They're Apple.
Yeah, they sync right up.
They just and it just sits over your ear. Very comfortable. The styling of it. They feel premium. I hate them.
So I can't have something like that. Here's why. It's the same reason that I'll watch, like when I was on the run, and I never did this prior to this, by the way. I only did this because I was on the run. And listen, fraud on the run, fraud is not a full-time job, right? Like in general, fraud's not a full-time job. It's part-time. If you're really working at it, it's part-time. It's 20 hours a week. And it's really just fun. So, because it's not even a job. But on the run, we got to a point where it was like we had enough money. I don't want to say tons of money, but we could do whatever we wanted. And we're committing fraud. And so we're doing stuff like, we're going on vacations, we're going on road trips, we're doing rock climbing, we're, skydiving, whatever. We're doing all kinds of different stuff that is just kooky stuff. And at one point I saw a commercial or something for the new Halo. This was Halo was big, and it was the second version of Halo. This really is dating me. I understand. So, I was like, that looks really cool. Right. I should get that. So I want to say it was an Xbox because I think it was a black box or something. Anyway, whatever it was that they play Halo on. So I, went into, what was it called? It went out of business.
Circuit City?
No, it was something game.
Not GameStop.
Not GameStop. It was
Not Game Room.
Not Blockbuster.
No,
Yeah,
Blockbuster.
yeah.
This was they sold electronics, but whatever it was, I went in there, and first of all, I thought
Radio Shack?
No, it wasn't Radio Shack. No, this was like Circuit City kind of thing, but it was something else that wasn't just games. It was all kinds of electronics. But I remember they had the Halo. They had the Halo guy with the gun standing on like rocks that are so the rocks are going up about 2 feet. He's standing on it so that the statue is 7 feet tall and he's kind of hunched on the rocks with the gun. And I was like, how much do you guys want for that? And the guy goes, I don't think it's for sale. I said, bro, I want one. And he went and talked to the guy, talked to the manager and everything, came back. He's like, he can give you a phone number, but he said he didn't think they sell them. And it was kind of like a, it was a display, but next to it, they had the games and stuff. So I walked in, I said, bro, I want the game. I want the Xbox or whatever it was, everything you can give me. Whatever that was, a couple grand, no problem. And, we're paying everybody in cash, right? We're like.
So you were into the game that much?
No, I wasn't, but I'd never played it before. And I want all the stuff. I remember thinking, I might play this. I might fuck with this for about an hour or two and be like, I don't get it. It's like watching TV. It's like watching football. You could sit down with me, take me to a Super Bowl party. There's 40 people there. Put me right in front of the big screen TV, and I would watch it for about 30, 40 minutes because I've done this many, many times. I've really made an effort and been like, okay, you guys, I don't get it. Like, I'm sorry. I understand you're excited. I don't know why you're screaming. You're not there. You can't play. You're too fat. You can't possibly play football. Like, I'm looking at these guys going, I don't know. You guys are vicariously living through these guys because none of you are playing football. There's lots of snacks and shit, but I'm not interested. I just can't. So, and I remember telling Becky, I was with Becky. I was like, this is maybe what happens. Like, I'm about to spend a couple grand. I mean, I got the best gadgets, and we bought some other videos and other games and stuff. We go home, we play it. And I liked it, like right away. I liked it. And I spent hours and hours and hours, and I loved it. And so Boziak is like, I felt like 20% of my day was spent playing that game at a minimum. I had to break away to go make some W-2s or pay stubs or go open a bank account or go survey somebody or whatever. It's like, fuck, I got to get this done. So what happened was, so Boziak moves in here, right? You know how he's always talking about, like, when he was doing Uber, like, or not Uber, he was doing DoorDash. And he was like, man, I'm fucking busting my ass doing DoorDash. Like, you're working about 3-4 hours a day. I see you for 2 or 3 hours, you're playing video games. Right, and he has his iPad and he's playing this and then he would come and show me this new game that came out. Look how realistic it is. And he'd pull it up and I'd look at it and I'd think, it is amazing. And then he would explain to me how each moving piece had its own algorithm so that when you walk through and you kicked stuff, it fell differently. Doesn't fall the same every time, falls differently depending on how you move. It feels like the real reaction to how things work. And he had videos on it and everything. Like, the game was amazing. And I'm going, the quality of these games are amazing. And he's like, yeah, bro. He's like, you want to play? I was like, and I thought, no. No, I don't.
Because you will get immersed.
Right. I don't play video games because that's going to be 20 or 30% of my time. I don't have enough time to do all the things I want to do during the day anyway. So you're going to throw in video games? No, I'm not doing that. That's going to be 20, 30%.
It's like GTA 6 is supposed to be coming out this year, next year. And people are like,
going nuts.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Like probably planning their like lives around it. Like,
right.
When this game comes out, no one's going to see me.
And what's so funny is that those guys end up working some 30, 40 hour a week job. They play video games and smoke pot. And all they do is complain about how life isn't fair. Motherfucker, you spend 6 hours a day.
Why did you throw potheads in them? Potheads are good people.
I'm not saying they're not good people. I'm sure all gamers, or most of the gamers, I'm sure, are very good people too. Somebody's got to make that fucking coffee at Starbucks. I'm not doing it. Thank God for them. Thank God for that guy because he works at Burger King. I'm just saying, work your job at Burger King. Play your video games, stay stoned, live in your parents' spare room, but don't complain about how life isn't fair.
Hello.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I get it. If you're saying, no, I'm happy with this, but don't sit there and then leave the house and then go online or go in the comments or go with your friends and complain about how all women are, whatever, prostitutes or whatever they're calling
There
them.
are no good women out there.
There's no good women.
Why I'm single.
Life isn't fair, and that they don't pay me the $150 an hour I deserve at Starbucks. It's like, no, No, you're already being paid too much. No woman is dating you because you're a loser. And you live in your parents' spare room and you stay stoned all the fucking time.
And you're good with that.
Right. And now if you're good with that, then fine, just don't complain.
Yeah.
And I used to see it's the same thing with you figure that out in prison. You'd see these guys who would complain about getting all their fucking time, how they got 10 years and that's bullshit, and I didn't deserve 10 years and I shouldn't even be in prison. They could have given me probation, and they're not feeding us good, and they never let us out. And what'd you think when you were robbing banks? Did you think they were going to serve you lobster and treat you like a king in prison and give you a slap on the hand and help retrain you for society? And like, come on, bro, like, what are you doing? Right. So my problem is I would be such a loser if I started playing those games because I know I would like them so much. Listen, every time they come out with a new season of, what is it? Silo? Or what's the other one? The one, The Office, kind of like they're in the office. Severance. That's a whole day. It's a whole day. Every time they come out with it, that's a whole day or two of my time. 2 days of my time is gone.
Watch it. Yeah, you
I'm binge watching it. Yeah, Thank God they don't have more good shit out there. Everyone's like, oh, there's nothing good on TV. Thank God. If these guys were massively producing amazing shows, I wouldn't get anything done.
So Severance is really good.
Severance is good. Yeah.
Odd.
So let me ask you,
trying to figure out what's going on.
Is The Blacklist good?
The Blacklist, the only reason I watched it is because I did that first podcast I did on Danny's show. So I did that podcast. In the comment section, people are like going, bro, this is the real Raymond Reddington. Matt Cox is the real Raymond Reddington. Matt Cox is the Blacklist. And keep in mind, I've seen the show, and I don't get the comparison at all.
I don't either.
This guy's a master criminal in a different way, right? Like, to me, the way I look at me, other people look at me, they see me in a different way. The way I look at these guys who are stealing whatever, they're running scams and they're making 50, 100 million, $200 million. Those guys are like, typically they're not master criminals. They're just accountants that are fudging the numbers. But I know guys, not a lot of them, but that are have a vast, they have a vast knowledge of many, many different crimes, right? And they're making, tens, 20, $100 million, let's say. Those guys are more, and they have a criminal network. They know tons of criminals. Like, it's like, I know a guy, you talk to these guys and they're like, no, I got a guy that I know can makes all my, this guy is good for, he makes all my fake IDs. And then, this guy, I use this guy to make all my checks. This guy, he's perfect for credit cards. He can get me all the credit card information. I know these 3 guys, they're good for like, they have like 8 people that they can pull from. They've got a whole group of criminals that they work with. Like, that to me that's Spectre, right? Like, that's this guy's up here and he's got all these, like, kind of like Zach in his heyday. He had all these people and he was insulated. He had a whole insulation system that allowed him to be, anonymous. He had anonymity. And so to me, I feel like I was a foot soldier. Like, I was a guy who was I had a very high skill set where I don't need to know anybody that can make my fake IDs. I'll go to the DMV and they'll make them, or I'll figure it out how to do it myself. And I'll be able to use that ID to get real documents and then go in the DMV. I'll be able to take that document and then I'll go get a real passport from the State Department. So I can get these things on my own. My skill set is so high that I don't need anybody else. And as a result of that, I didn't really have anybody else. So it was all me. So I'm like a little foot soldier with a backpack full of stuff. Zach, to me, was more like a general. Although I see lots of stupid things that he did, he was a guy that had a massive network of people.
Right. Because I think that the things so your thing was doing something specific.
Right.
Whereas Zach would do all these kind of things.
Yeah. He's got credit
in order
cards,
this
checks,
thing, this thing, this thing,
bank accounts.
So in order to keep all that stuff live, this thing, well, let me get this guy and this guy. It's a shortcut in getting money this way. And then this thing, I need this guy.
But I don't know those guys. And I don't know I didn't know how to contact those guys. I don't have the network of those guys. I didn't, I had never been arrested and gone to prison or jail for 6 months and networked. So I had to figure out everything on my own. I'm not exactly sure how we got there.
We're talking about those TV shows. The
Blacklist. So to me, Raymond Reddington would be a homicidal or a violent form of Zach on an international level. Does that make sense? Because Raymond Reddington, what they like in the Blacklist is that there is kind of this underground network of criminals. And they're high-end criminals that are also
There's a code. Yeah,
they have politicians under their, that. So there's kind of like this cabal. I think they actually call it the cabal.
They literally call it.
Yeah.
This is my favorite television show.
Oh, you've seen it. I thought you were asking about it.
I was asking if you saw it.
I love it.
And then you went into.
I'm sorry. I thought you didn't know what it was, and I was trying to explain.
I absolutely love it. I think I don't know the actor's name.
Oh, man, come on.
I'm looking at him too.
And I grew up with him. Remember, he was in like Less Than Zero. He was in Sex, Lies, and Videos tapes. He was in all kinds of.
But anyway, him.
What's he look like?
He's chubby and bald.
James Spader?
Yes. No, not James Spader. No.
Clark Middleton.
Let's see.
Raymond Reddington.
James Spader.
Is it James Spader?
I think that is him. I think his portrayal of him is just so. I couldn't imagine.
He's the guy who's the second boss in the office. That's kind of
yeah. When they did that,
and he does the voice of Age of Ultron, I think.
Yep.
James.
But his portrayal of him is just so crazy. The first 3 seasons were just had me like this, and I haven't had a television show.
Man.
Like that.
I don't watch television shows because I'm like, I don't want to, kind of what Matt was saying earlier, like, I don't want to, it's 5 seasons. I don't want to sit down for a month and watch the show. But there's 3 shows that we have watched. One was Silo. We're caught up on that. It was good. Severance, which is actively going on right now. It's like the #1 TV show in America. And then White Lotus. And they're all.
That's funny. I haven't heard. I've heard of White Lotus. I haven't watched
White Lotus, HBO Max. So they're on their 3rd season right now, and the premise is the very first episode, the very first scene, you see that someone has been killed, someone's dead, and then it kind of rewinds, and it's like 2 months earlier or 1 month earlier, and it's like the first scene is a boat of 3 or 4 different families or groups of people arriving to this hotel called the White Lotus. And they're all interesting, weird, kind of quirky characters. And then you just watch these couples on their vacations and kind of their storylines play out. And you kind of find out what they're really there for, like their dark secrets. And then like at the end, like you find out, okay, this is what actually happened. Then the murder happens and you see like who died. So you're trying to figure it out along the way. It's interesting. Like, this current season's going on and it's right in the middle. And like there's like a family that's modeled after like Southern charm, rich money, Carolina's family, and like the dad is, while he's on vacation, he's getting calls like he's under investigation. He's about to go to prison for like embezzling a bunch of money.
But nobody knows.
Nobody knows. And then there's another couple, like a guy, like it's just some sketch guy with like some young girl, and he's there to like find somebody and kill them, or confront them at least. And then you have another group of just like 3 women on vacation. And all their stories get intertwined. They don't know each other, but they all kind of get intertwined, and just characters working at the hotel. So it's like kind of like a mystery, murder, crime type of thing.
I love shows like that. I love shows like that where just you get just immersed in it, and like all these things are going on, and the payoff is going to be way later, but you see everything kind of coming together.
I like that I have to actively try to watch and actively try to, okay, what's really going on? Like I don't want to passively just listen to something in the background. But Severance Severance, I think, is better than all
You
of
gotta
it.
kind of watch and pay attention.
Yeah,
to
you're trying to
stuff.
figure out what's going on.
Yeah, Severance is it's such an odd concept that you're constantly trying to figure out what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like what?
I call that smart TV, where you have to actually think
Yeah.
and stuff. It's not like
It's not a
reality
sitcom where you just-
sitcoms. Idiot
Yeah.
box.
I could go- you can-
I mean, I've listened to a couple with my wife. We've gone through a couple seasons, but I'm just like, yeah, I want to actively watch them. Like, with Severance, we'll watch it, and then we'll watch it the immediate time it comes out, and then I'll go on Reddit and see what everybody's saying, like what everybody's predictions.
Oh, see
are.
okay, well that's not what happens with it. What Jess will do is we'll be watching a movie and she'll say, "Does he die?" And I'm like, "You have to watch." And she's like, "I know, I know, but I'm gonna watch. I just want to know, does he die?" And I look at her and I go, "I'm not telling you."
Yeah, I'm
I'm actually irritated that you would ask.
Well,
Like,
well, I'm going on Reddit as it's going real time,
Okay.
so nobody knows the ending.
No, Jess will then pick up her phone and I'll see and I'll be like, "What are you doing?" Because it took me. She had to do this. She did this several times before I realized. She picks it up and starts looking to find out if this person
She
dies.
has to know.
Yeah,
She
and you
has
will
to
know in an hour and a half. And she just
I
has
hate
to know
that.
now.
Yeah,
Does
like,
he die?
I want to experience it.
Yeah, I wanna
So
experience
the only
it.
reason I'm going to Reddit is because nobody knows what's going to happen because it's airing in real time.
Yeah, I don't mind the theories.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
But,
I don't
you
mind
know,
the theories.
But some of the theories have come to be true, and I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have known that because I didn't really see that coming. Because these people nowadays, people break down every little
they live
scene.
it.
Yeah.
They live it.
Every little mention, detail, and they're predicting what's happening before it actually happens. So
I like watching those YouTubes of when they break down
once I
stuff and the
finish
Easter eggs.
oh,
When
yeah.
I finish it,
the 100 Easter eggs, 50 Easter eggs you
and
missed.
I'd be like, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely the blacklist was amazing. Like it's over, right? Like
Yep,
or did
10 seasons.
Yeah,
it's
and then
over.
I watched.
And even it's over, and they still don't really know the spoiler stuff. Like they still don't know who Reddington's. They're not positive.
Yeah.
Was he really?
It killed me the whole time that he was like. You're right. I never figured out like where he's like, I'm not her father, not the father, not the father. Like it killed me because I kept thinking, you are her father.
Yeah,
you are her father. Like why?
So
And he was so adamant that he wasn't. And then there were times I thought, oh wow, he's not. This person is. And then you realize, no, that person couldn't be that.
Yeah.
It is Reddington. And then who was Reddington? How was he? And there were these little tiny things where you're like, I don't even think the backstory to who you are is who you are.
I saw something that Reddington was, what's the girl? Her mother, and that the spy.
Reddington was the mother.
Yep, and she got a sex change because she was like a spy. But then they went into like showing all these different reasons why it could be, and then like him and Dembe's interaction. Like how he loves him tender and kisses him on the forehead. You know, that's a very Italian thing, so it's not. But like, once you look at it through those eyes, I'm like, could it be? And then there was like this DNA. There was an episode where one of the blacklisters was a DNA guy. And then like the post-credit look, there was like this interaction where it could be. I don't know. I went down that rabbit hole.
Real quick, just to say, I do love the blacklist, but how kind of odd, or is it serendipity?
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up right now my history. Do you see what that is? Songs that make you feel like Raymond Reddington.
Wow.
Here's another one. This is all I listened to this morning. Songs that will make you, same thing, feel like. This is another one. It's Raymond Reddington songs. Here's another one. These are all things that look at this one. Look at this one.
The blacklist,
Song.
best songs.
These are
And
all.
we just bring it up organically.
And we mentioned, like, because I listened to them, and there's actually one that's super cool. It's a video of moments of where Reddington will be in a situation and he'll tell a story. You know, he loves telling the stories.
I love how he does that.
And he'll suddenly tell a story. I believe the FBI agent is bleeding out and they're in like a chamber or something. And the guy's like basically saying like, we're not going to get out of here. Like I'm about to die. He's bleeding out.
They're in that box.
Yes.
That lock. Okay, I remember.
And Raymond says, he's like, I don't think so.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. He's like, you know, like, why do you say that? He's like, have you ever been on a sailboat? Like he starts going through this whole little thing where he talks about all these things he wants to do just one more time.
Yes. Yeah.
And he gets to that point about
the sun on my face.
Oh yeah, while standing on the piazza, whatever he says, or you know, and there's all these places he wants to go and things. He wants to have one more bottle of wine. He wants to do one more book. He goes on, and then he ends where he talks about sleeping like when I was a boy.
Sleeping
listen, it's so fucking good. Like you listen to, it's just like
chills. Like I want to just feel the sun bathe my face.
Yeah, just
one more time. And I'm watching him like, once more.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. It's gonna make it. I know he makes it. I already saw the episode. But yeah, it's got a bunch of those, a few of those, and then there's another one called what's the gangster one? The song, it's Gangster's Paradise, where they play Gangster's Paradise, and it's Raymond doing all these different things where you think he's about to get grabbed and, you know, whatever. Or he shows up, he's sitting in some female senator comes walking down and sits down, and he's sitting in our thing, and he's got a gun, and she's like, you can't kill me. I'm a senator. He goes, why not? And he like plugs her. You know, but that's what's funny is that it's because people kept saying like, oh, he's Raymond Reddington. Oh, he's the black guy in the black. He's it. And I remember it. So then I started watching it, and I was like, this guy's a psychopath. This guy's murdering people. Like I'm not gonna murder anybody.
Where do I give you that impression?
How do you see me as this person?
Yeah. So that goes good with one of the questions asked. So let me see if I can find it. I think you called yourself psychopathic. What exactly does that mean?
Well, I mean, I think that I'm on a scale, right? Like most look. 1% of society are psychopaths. Almost everybody's on the scale. Almost nobody has 0%. No, almost nobody's just not on the scale at all, right? So everybody has a little bit, right? Because it's a scale. It's like anything. So I would say I'm somewhere in there. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the middle. Sometimes I feel like I'm maybe towards the upper branch of it. But everybody's on that scale. So if 1% of society is like a full-blown sociopath, right? And 1% of society is locked up. About 99% of the people that are locked up are psychopaths. They suffer from some kind of antisocial disorder. And so, and the difference is when you go to prison and you talk to people, and you talk to those people, the people that I've been locked up with, have very, very different personality traits than the average person when you get out. Does that make sense? People in prison talk about their crimes openly, brazenly, typically unapologetically, where people here, if they bump into you in the supermarket, apologize, they all feel so bad, and every once in a while, of course, you'll bump into one of those guys that just got out of prison, and he doesn't, he just gives you that look and keeps walking, or says something to you, and
because the code of conduct is
you're
different.
going to prison. You know what I'm saying? But that code of conduct only works because you're surrounded by other people like that.
Right.
In society, that person doesn't do well, unless there's some kind of a chameleon, like a lot of the stuff I'm doing for serial killers, right? Like most of them, they have two completely, and a serial killer is clearly, 1 out of 50 is a 50, right? This is a guy who's murdered. These guys are killing people. They don't have any qualms about it. Their biggest issue with killing people is how do I not have the body attached to me? Right. How do I put this person over there and move the vehicle and do this and make sure I'm not associated? But those people don't have an issue at all. But those people you think, oh, he's a psycho, he's crazy, he's insane. Yeah, but they'll also have a wife and 3 kids. And those wife and 3 kids will think they're absolutely amazing. And when they find out dad killed 30 people, they're like, what? That's got to be a mistake. No, we have DNA footage, and your dad's telling us all about it right now. And then they come in and meet their father, and they're like, what are they saying? They're like, yeah, I've been meaning to tell you this, Bobby.
That part-time job.
Yeah.
It wasn't a part-time job.
Yeah. The reason I took that job as an inspector was because it gave me the ability to drive around and stalk women, find out where they lived, watch the house for a few days, get their routine down, and then break into the house and tie them up and, torture them. I have photos. You know what I'm saying? Like you imagine the kid, like I've seen these interviews of the wives that are just like,
wait, what? What?
They're interviewing him 10 years later, and they're like, yeah, I talked to him about it. I couldn't believe it. I was in the jail saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they've got you locked up for this. And the guy's like, yeah, I got to tell you something. We've been locked up for it. We've been married 15 years, 25 years.
About that.
Yeah. How long you been doing this? Just before I met you.
Just before.
So what you're saying kind of leads into one of the other questions that were asked. And this is, I would say, I'm going to split it into two parts. Do you still have con tendencies, or do they eventually go away? So I would kind of split this into two parts. Like, do you still have tendencies to think about conning, scamming, or frauding, or do they eventually go away? And then the second part would be kind of what you're alluding to earlier, like your demeanor, the lifestyle, the prison rules, like whatever that is, like how you act in there. How long does it take for it to kind of go away when you're on the outside, if that makes sense?
Like, for me,
yeah,
I'll let you know.
Yeah,
like when it goes away, I'll let you know. I mean, there's not. I don't know if there's not a day that goes by. I used to say there's not a day that goes by. There was probably the first couple of years where when I was living in that kind of the rooming house with that spare room, and I mean, listen, I get in my little beat up car, my little Jeep. I didn't have the Jeep when I met you, right? I got a new vehicle.
You had a nice car.
Oh yeah. It was brand new. It was brand new. I got a brand new Jeep, which is still like a $22,000 Jeep. Like it was, it was a Lorraine. It was a Sport. What was it?
Cherokee, maybe? Was it?
No.
I don't know the names. It was a white Jeep.
Compass. It was a brand new Jeep Compass I bought in the middle of COVID. I put down $1,000. My payment was $350 a month. I was thrilled. Everything worked on it.
I was thrilled.
It was brand new. Had a warranty and everything. It was great. Right. So anyway, but prior to that, even when I was driving that, I would leave this house, right? I'd drive down the street to go somewhere, and there would be vacant houses where I know this is a house, someone's maintaining it, but nobody lives there. And these aren't little houses where the area, like I lived in a nice rooming house. Like it wasn't in the hood. It was this is upper middle class. This place was like on a lake. Like it was nice. But I drive down. So I'm driving by places that are probably at that time, they're probably $1 million now. At that time, they were probably worth $600,000-$700,000. This is 5 years ago. So I'm driving down, and there's these houses that I know are vacant, and that house it's probably worth, in good condition, maybe $800,000. It's probably not in great condition right now. It's worth maybe $700,000, but nobody lives there. And there's no sign in the front yard. It's not for sale, but I know because I live in this neighborhood, nobody lives there. There's never been a car there. I've never seen anybody. I can tell that the newspapers pile up throughout the day, and then they take them away. I can tell the mail's piled up, and somebody once or twice a week is coming and but it's really not being maintained. And there were multiple houses like that. And listen, I used to drive by, and it was like they were taunting me. I was thinking to myself, God, I could go downtown. I could find out. I could pull the title. I don't even really have to go downtown. I could take my laptop and go into Starbucks and look it up. But I can find out the deed to this house. If they owe anything, are there any liens? I could satisfy all of those liens. I could transfer the title to the house. I could put the house up for sale, or I could borrow against the house. By that point, I had realized that there were closings that were remote closings. I could open some bank accounts online, do a remote closing, and borrow money on the house or sell the house outright. Or I could get really vicious and go to an investor meeting and meet some other investors and just tell them that I'm connected with a guy at the bank who's got houses that are available. And I could simply do a false foreclosure notice, the less pendants, file it downtown, put that house into into a name and then, or not even have it filed yet. Just say to the guy, I can have this house placed in your name. We sell it. You give me the money in cash. We'll sell it for $300,000, $400,000. You give me $200,000 in cash. You take all the tax liability. Most investors are going to be like, holy shit, are you serious? Say, yeah, bro, I got problems with the IRS. I can't have any money in my name, but I got a buddy that works at the bank. It's in foreclosure. He can transfer it into your name. Yeah, I'll do that. No problem. Okay. Like there's so many scams now that are so easy to do based on my skill set. And I thought about it all the time. I told you this. You've heard me say this. When I would lay in bed and you like can't go to sleep, I would just start planning a scam. I go to sleep like that, like a baby. Like it's just like, if you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above. That's where Ghost Bed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, Ghost Bed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Even better, our listeners can get 50% off site-wide for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use the code COX at checkout. Again, that's ghostbed.com/Cox with the code COX at the checkout to save a whopping 50% off site-wide. I never even get to the point where I'm actually doing the closing. Just the planning of the scam, which is what I liked so much.
Just kind of rocks you to sleep.
It does. And I thought you should do that. This is like daily I'm doing this. And this went on for a couple of years. It doesn't happen so much now because I think I'm so busy. And I was under a lot of stress the first couple of years. And now that I'm like off supervision or probation, I'm off probation and things are going well and I'm not under a tremendous amount of stress now, I don't think about it as often, but it's always there. Hey, I'll tell you something back to the sociopath thing.
Why is it going back to the sociopath?
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. I'm gonna play a thing I sent to Jess. I want to see what you say. This is good. Basically, the person says like, "This is how you can tell if you're a psychopath." And as soon as it played, I immediately got the answer that if this is what you think, you're a sociopath. Sorry. And as soon as I watched it, guess what answer came to me?
The sociopath one.
Because as soon as the person says it, they're like, if your answer was this, you're a psychopath. And I thought, ooh.
Yeah. I can find out whether you're a sociopath.
Ooh, tell me.
2 minutes or less. A man shows up at a funeral. He goes to grieve the dead body at the wake. He sees a woman near the casket, and they exchange a glance. The man leaves. The funeral wraps up. A week later, that man kills that woman's mother. Why?
I immediately thought, oh, boom. But what do you think? Why did he kill her?
The man and the woman walk up to the casket. They exchange a look.
Right. So
they both leave.
He sees her at a funeral, this woman that he's attracted to, right? He likes her. And they kind of have a little exchange, kind of a little, like you could tell he likes her. They kind of like each other. And then he leaves. He finds her mother. A week later, he murders her mother. Why does he murder the mother?
I have no clue.
So my first thought was, he'll get to see her at the funeral. It's a way to arrange a meeting between the two of them again. Listen.
Because he wanted to see her again, the woman.
No, so the sociopath gets that like this. And let me tell you where I got this test from. Somebody who used to be in my life, that person's father was a psychiatrist in one of the worst prisons in America. And they would actually do this test on the patients.
And as soon as they said, a week later, he kills her, why did he kill her? And I thought, well, he'll be able to see her at the funeral. My first thought was, yeah, that's a way to arrange another meeting where it's not obvious. And I thought, yeah. And then he goes through his whole explanation. I was like, I wonder if I'm right. And then she explains immediately. And I was like, oh, shit. And then I sent this to Jess.
Jess, we're going to start a thing where you just text me once a week. Just make sure you're still good.
We watch serial killer documentaries, and they'll explain like this guy was this. Like by the way, the very first known serial killer in the United States was a guy named H.H. Holmes. H.H. Holmes. His real name was like, he was born like, Ivan Sneed or something weird, but he ends up creating an identity called H.H. Holmes. H.H. Holmes. The reason he does this is because as Sneed or whatever his name was, he starts running a scam. He's super smart, goes to medical school. He starts stealing bodies and he starts taking out insurance on people. So he gets you to go in and take out insurance. Then he goes and steals a cadaver, stages a death, and gets a death certificate for you and collects on the life insurance. And then he skins the whole thing, creates a skeleton, and sells a skeleton to a medical school by going in and basically he's going in digging up dead people. But first he's got multiple layers. First he has you're an accomplice. You go get I'm going to get a life insurance policy on you. So you go in, you sign, you understand, pays the premiums for months. Then he goes and he finds someone that looks reasonable like you that's about to be buried or buried. He digs them up because back then, this is in the 1890s or 1870s. So they're not doing, all the embalming and everything. They don't have a lot of forensics. So they take that person. So he then takes that person and he leaves them dead somewhere, shoots them a couple times. Like the cops show up, they go, oh, this guy's dead. He leaves your identification on them. Then they get issued a death certificate for you. He can now take the death certificate and say, by the way, this guy just died. We were buddies. We got a life insurance policy on him. You owe me X amount of dollars. Then he splits it with you. Probably starts killing you too, because they believe he killed around 100 to 200 people, although they only got him for around 40. Wow. How many? Whatever. 27, 30. There are 27 that he admitted to because they found the remains. He didn't say anything else. This is a guy who also, he went to work. He would take over businesses. He'd go work for your business. And after a month or two, he's working for your business. After a month or two, you suddenly die. Keep in mind, poison back then, there's no way to determine. If I give you an extra dose, if I put chloroform in your coffee and you drink it and get sick and die, that's it, you're dead. They don't know why you died.
Just strange circumstances.
Yeah, he died. He's 60 years old and he died. Yeah. That happens. He had a heart attack. We don't know. So now keep in mind too, now he would go to like the widow and say, look, can you own or finance the business? I'll take it over and I'll pay you this much money a month. And of course, you're going to be like, oh my God, you're running the business. I don't have anybody else. Of course, I'll do that. And it's very lucrative. Then once everything's signed over to him, you disappear. They don't find your body or anything. You just disappear. She's traveling. She's this. Of course, I make payments to her. So nobody looks. Nobody's questioning. Her husband died. She sold me the business and she's traveling. I own the business. He does this multiple times. So he's a con man. So they're explaining how he initially starts off as a con man. He's a psychopath, con man, smart. And as I'm watching this, I can feel Jess looking over at me. And I'm sitting there going, what? And she's like, I don't know. There's a lot of similarities here. I'm like, stop. I'm not violent. She's like, well, he didn't seem violent at first either. These were just cons. They evolved. But that happens a lot as we're watching these serial killer stuff. They'll say something every once in a while, and she'll go, and I'm just like, what? Look, even the face now. That's the face I get right there. No,
he just doesn't tip over the
75,
74.
Anyway, we'll talk about this when we're alone.
Just once a week, just shoot a thumbs up text, say, listen, I'm still, Well,
Stop. But yeah. So definitely. So on the scale, I'm just saying on the scale, maybe, that's all.
he's comfortably
Yeah,
on
I
there.
mean, this made me think of we had Nadine, I forgot her last name, Velasco. She's Jordan Belfort's ex-wife
Right.
from the movie, and she came in, and her whole thing now, she's a therapist, and she helps women escape toxic relationships and stuff like that. And in the middle of the interview, she's like pushing her book. Matt's just like, "Oh yeah, you can take this book home with you. Yeah, you don't. We're not gonna need this. Here.
We're not going to need this
Like,
here.
He's like,
I don't need Jess stumbling across it.
he's like throwing jabs back at her, kind of like, "Oh well, yeah. We're not gonna need that here."
Yeah.
Some of the comments are just like, "I wonder what she's really thinking."
Oh, at one point I said, yeah, I said, I said, I'm a little narcissistic, like that. She's like, I'm getting that, and like I said something along the lines of I'm a little self-absorbed, and she's like, yeah, I'm getting that. Like you could just tell she was just like at that point she was like, okay,
I definitely got a narcissistic streak in me somewhere.
all his screensavers, he's got like 5 screensavers that repeat every time he turns. Every one of them is a photo of him.
What else would I have, Fish? What else would I have?
I mean,
Single, so I wouldn't have the Mrs. on there, or
what do you have, baby? A fish.
Yeah. A fish. Yeah, I had like scenery because I want my background to be clean, like crisp, so I can just kind of go through my apps. But my wife's like, why am I not on there? So she changes it, and then the picture of our head. Now Apple has it where the pictures block the time. I can't tell what time it is. Do you know that?
No.
Like it takes like the subject and puts it just
in front of
the actual text.
And you know what I have on mine? You know what mine is?
Is it the red dot? Yeah.
It's not a red dot. It's
what is that?
That's the HAL 9000 from 2001: Space Odyssey. Hello, Dave. HAL, open the bay door. Dave, I can't do that. Stop. Oh my gosh. Jess's response was because it's mechanical and it doesn't have a heart.
Okay.
It's not true. It's not true.
There's a connection.
But this is the HAL. How you've never watched 2001: Space Odyssey?
I've seen clips and pieces. I probably have, but only once.
HAL ends up murdering everybody, killing everybody on board the ship. But for a good reason. It was in furtherance of the priority was the mission, and he felt these guys were a hindrance to the mission. He'd been given conflicting goals, and these guys, the crew, ended up being in conflict with the goals, so they had to go. He didn't need them to run the mission, so they had to go.
But they say that's what the Terminator whole premise is, and once AI gets smart, the biggest threat to humanity is humans.
What's so funny is that 2001: Space Odyssey is literally, it's an amazing movie that is 30 to 40 minutes too long because they built these amazing sets. So this is prior to Star Wars. Like I think this came out just before Star Wars, and so they built these sets of the ships, right? So these massive sets for these ships, and the concepts were amazing. And the problem is, you could tell they were really proud of them because they've got these camera scenes where they are going by the everything's in real slow. But the problem is like I don't need a 1.5-minute shot of the ship. I don't need a 1.5-minute shot of this. 2-minute shot of this model and that model, and that. Less is more. Like I could go through and shave off 30 minutes of that film, 40 minutes of the film, and it would be amazing. And Hal is amazing, and it's really funny because once the guy Dave eventually gets back in the ship, Hal doesn't think he can, and he gets back in, and he starts to basically turn off Hal. Hal starts to try and reason with him. Dave, can we talk about this, Dave? Dave, I've been thinking. Perhaps I was a little rash in my decision. Dave, what are you doing? Dave, I mean, it's so, and Dave's like ignoring him. He's basically he's pulling out all of his higher brain functions, and he's turning them all off, and it starts sounding funny,
and this is the 60s version. I'm thinking of the one
of AI,
but
it's great.
But I'm thinking of I think more recent, like the
you're thinking it's called 20. I think it's called
Odyssey
2010. So they
Odyssey
did
or something.
Yeah, Space Odyssey, 2010 Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
They do one where they go back to Jupiter. Because see, what's happened in the movie is they find a monolith. You've seen the scene 1,000 times. Sometimes they make fun of it, where it's a bunch of apes that are on planet Earth, and this monolith shows up. This black rectangular monolith that's big. Maybe it's 12 feet high, and so the apes are dancing around it. And what it is it's evolution. It's the next step. And so these apes, which are kind of fighting against each other, and that's another thing. They spend 15 minutes on the apes. I don't need 15 minutes to understand that these apes are at odds with each other. They're two groups, they're at odds. Then the monolith shows up. And you've seen this. You've seen this in different forms. The apes are dancing around the monolith, and one of them throws a bone, and you see the bone flipping in the air, and the music is playing. And that's when it ends up using the bone as like a weapon, we've now made that leap to evolution. These apes are now evolving. And it's as a result of the monolith that happens. Well, then suddenly they find a monolith on the moon. They investigate it. Then they find a massive monolith, 100 times as big as the one on the moon.
On Jupiter.
Just floating around Jupiter. And so they go to it in 2001. That mission is scrapped because HAL is shut off. And then in 2010, they come back with the Soviets and they visit. They turn on HAL again, figure out what went wrong, and they decide that they're going to investigate the monolith. And what ends up happening is Jupiter implodes in a way that it turns into a sun. The Jupiter, if it was a little bit bigger, would actually ignite. The pressure would actually split atoms and it would become a small sun. Well, what happens is it becomes a sun, and Europa has water on it. And Europa ends up having life. So it ends up that God, we can't conceptualize the fact that the monolith is a mechanism or a tool used by God to create evolution or life.
This is all on the Space Odyssey?
This is on the first one and second one. It's amazing. It's amazing for multiple reasons. But here's the other thing, and I know Jess and I have talked about this many times. It's like the concept of God. The great thing about this movie is, if you really look at it and understand what's happening, is it's a great metaphor, or maybe the Bible's a metaphor for God. So you have a base understanding when you watch the movie of what's happening. You kind of like, okay, this is they refer to it as, they believe it's an unspoken thing that it's alien. This is obviously alien. But in reality, it's I think, and it probably is, there's probably 10 videos on it that say, no, it is God. That it's God. That God created. Maybe there was evolution on the planet because of the apes, right? There's evolution. But at some point, God steps in and says, I'm going to have these creatures evolve. And the monolith shows up and they end up evolving. And ultimately, that evolution turns into humanity. Now, whoever wrote the Bible doesn't understand that. They can't conceptualize that. So they write their version of how that works so it makes sense. There's this omnipotent being that helps us or that created us. But really, it's evolution. And I believe that. I believe in evolution. But I also believe in God. So I just think that the Bible, or God in general, you and I can't conceptualize what God is. We're not smart enough.
No.
Right? A cat doesn't know it's on a planet traveling.
Can't conceptualize a car.
Right. It doesn't understand anything. It doesn't understand it's on a continent. It doesn't understand the atmosphere, the planets, nothing.
Sure.
But it's smart. It can feed itself. It's perfectly functional, right? A cat can clean itself and function and survive. It can raise its children. It can have offspring. It can do all kinds of stuff. It's got they have their own little society, right? They interact with other cats, whatever. Same thing with monkeys. Same thing. They have there's very complex societies in monkeys, right? But they're not evolved. They're not smart.
And ants,
right? They can't conceptualize. They can't They don't understand the concept. We're just slightly evolved monkeys. So the idea that you and I are going to be able to understand what God is silly. Like, well, I don't understand what God is. Maybe God is, maybe it is alien. It's very alien to us. Maybe it's alien, it's an alien race, whatever. Or maybe it is God and it's in a different realm and you and I just don't understand it. So in that way, if you watch this movie with that in mind, you realize that, like, the idea of God, I have no problem with the idea. I believe in God. And this movie is a great way to look at it. If you look at it like that, it's entertaining. It's a little long. The first one's a little long. But other than that, if you watch it thinking that this is God, you kind of realize, like, wow, like, this is amazing. This is evolution. This is how we're evolving. This is how, and it ends up turning Jupiter into a planet, and it puts life, because life has evolved on Europa. Europa is all ice. Not all ice. It's got a layer of ice.
Isn't Europa a moon?
It's a moon of Jupiter.
Jupiter.
There's like 30 of them. And Titan and, so I think it's Titan and Europa that are mostly have oceans under the ice. So somehow or another, if Jupiter becomes a sun, it's going to melt the ice. You've got water, and that life supposedly will then, evolve. So that's the concept of what's happening. And it's funny too, because Hal is there. They use the ship, which Hal is a computer. They use that ship to push the Soviet ship and have it launch it toward Earth. And as it's leaving Jupiter, headed towards Earth, Hal ends up, I think all of this, I see your face and I think all of this should stay. I don't think you should cut any of this.
I was just thinking, this will probably be the very end of the podcast.
This is great. This is good stuff. So so Hal ends up sending a signal to Earth saying that to Earth, you can have all of the planets in this, like, solar system, but do not approach Jupiter or Europa again. So and this is God. So suddenly it's just Hal says, I'm sending a message that I'm getting. Here's the message. You can have all the planets, whatever you want. Do not approach this again. Because God has created life here and it's evolving and he wants to watch it take its course.
And just don't
go over there.
Just
again.
go in that.
You can
don't
fuck
go
with
in
all
that garden.
You can fuck with Mars and all these other planets, Saturn, do whatever you want to do. Just don't go over here again because I got life. I just created life and we're gonna watch it evolve. And so where does that come from? Like, we don't know where it comes from, but to me, that's God. Like, what is it? It's an alien, or what is it? It's God. It's God telling you through this that this is what just happened, and you don't have to understand it. This is the way it is. And so they go back to Earth. It's a fucking amazing. These are amazing films.
Well, thank you for that.
Can you imagine what
was
Jess
the
goes
question?
through? Can you imagine what Jess goes through?
I'll
talk to her for an hour and a half, and she'll just sit there and look at me the whole time like this.
And while she's looking at, she's like, "So did I get eggs this morning?"
Yeah. No, she's not paying attention. She's not. She's just like,
"Yeah, okay. So I have to
this
go
guy
on."
done. And after about an hour and 20 minutes, I start to go, I think I might be rambling. Am I rambling? She's like, no, it's fine.
No, it's fine.
She's like, this is just part of my plight.
I have to do that.
It's just what I
have
do.
to do that when I'm with people and we start talking about YouTube and I start going, I'm like, now I'm going to stop now.
All right.
Because I will talk for the next hour about it all. I
give
tell
it
them that.
to
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause
I'll do that.
I forget what the question was, and now I'm thinking about God. And
It was
it was a phone background.
No, it was the phone background. It was Hal. And it was Hal.
It was how.
It was Hal.
And
Man,
this is how you post. This is how you're able to post 4 episodes a week.
Hal.
This is how.
That phone background There's an extra 30 minutes.
Can you imagine, right?
Imagine if it was a real topic. You know, I was just looking at my a thing on the God question and stuff. I don't really know where I stand on it, but like a very smart Neil deGrasse brought up a great point, and he says that he thinks God is right on the edge of what we know, like what we've. So before we thought it was round, and before we knew about the universe, and God was there, we learned this, so God got here, and it's always right on the precipice of our understanding and knowledge. I think that is squarely where God lives. But
Yeah, I don't think if God came down and sat in front of us and explained what he was, you or I would be able to understand it. We would not be able to
we really don't
process it.
know. We don't know anything about God because there has never been verified documentation and or proof, especially in this day and age of documenting things and proof. What we do know is that the documentation that we have, it was written down during a time where they believed in when people had seizures. They called it, what it is called?
What?
When you get exorcism.
Oh yeah, that they were possessed.
They were possessions
and
and all of that.
the earth was flat and
Because we didn't have the understanding.
right.
So once our understanding grew, God went beyond that.
But I think that's
Now it's-
probably what the Bible was, is that this is their understanding of how it would work. You know what I'm saying? At that time, this made sense to them.
That's the only
Right.
That's the
And
only
so
thing we have.
It keeps
We've got literature that was written
right,
during
so
the
it keeps
time
moving.
before,
The next
but it
version
hasn't shifted.
The next version is 2001: Space Odyssey.
That's the
the next-
point I was
right.
getting to.
Or some type of AI. Do you think there gets to a point where AI becomes
Without a doubt,
You know,
there's going to be a
negative.
different.
Yeah.
AI is everything.
I've seen
I think ultimately it'll be devastating.
No, AI is giving us an understanding of things that we couldn't really understand. Like once we figure out AI and know how to use it as a tool, it'll be just a tool. Like you have to have AI in order to navigate
devastating.
space.
I've seen YouTube thumbnails of videos of guys talking about I'm creating a female OnlyFans model through AI.
Right.
It's me. I'm moving. I'm sitting here moving as a male.
Did you
behind
see
camera,
the
and then it's the girl. It's
Yeah.
like it's a split screen, and it's showing him as a girl doing the exact same things, opening up his wallet, flipping through his phone,
Yeah.
things like that.
I saw that.
AI is the future, man. I love it.
He was cute.
I'm scared and I love it at the same time.
So I think it's funny because I watched a video where they were talking about, and honestly the video is probably a year old, where the guy was like, listen, in the next 6 months to a year, AI will be running everything. And I was thinking, well, the video is a year or 6 months to a year old already. So, you know, what I think the problem is that one, to implement AI will take a decade.
Yep.
To create enough robots and all the things that it needs to control will take a decade or more, right? So it's not something like, hey, next year AI is everywhere, it's running everything. That's not true. It's going to take time because you have to implement it. So implementation always takes longer than people expect. So then the other problem is, when I say devastating, I think it is devastating, right? Don't you think it would be devastating? Not in a way that like not Skynet devastating, more like it's devastating to parts of the economy. Like your job, we don't need your fast food workers. We don't need them. These 30 people that run this McDonald's, we need one guy that comes in a truck that loads up the vending machines that now make up McDonald's. That's it.
I don't think that's the case. Like I'm old enough to know to be around when computers started, and like the older generation, like, oh, computers are gonna be taking the jobs. And when Walmart got big and all of these Walmart's gonna take the smaller business. No, it's called evolution.
did take the smaller business.
But
you're
those
just not.
smaller
You just weren't a
businesses-
small business owner, so you don't think it was devastating.
But the small businesses have to evolve. It's called evolution.
The
Or
evolution
we would still be stuck in the 60s.
If you're a small local hardware store, and Home Depot moves in 2 miles down the road, your version of evolution is you go under. You not
have to
foreclose, sorry.
evolve.
You go bankrupt. It's
But
not
you have
evolve.
to
You can't open up another.
But Home Depot is coming.
Well, I understand. So what you
can't
do
blame
is
Home Depot.
you close your
for-
fucking doors as quick as possible, and you go get a job at Home Depot. I understand that. That's the evolution, though.
Or
So-
you take your business and you change it to where it's, you have to change because times are changing. You can't survive as Harold's hardware store anymore.
Right, I understand.
It's not the
but
50s.
Right, but so the
So he has to
so
evolve.
either he has to sell something else and close the hardware store, or change the hardware store into something else.
Yep.
Okay, I understand. What I'm saying is, fast food in 10 years, there won't be workers. I'm saying that most of these menial jobs. Listen, once Tesla robots are as good as you and I, what happens to all the? Imagine if you could buy a Tesla robot that can work as you, that can do drywall, that can paint, that can build houses. When all of that happens, those jobs will disappear.
They have to do something else.
Well, no, but what else is there to do when there's a robot to do everything?
We don't
you can
know
do?
yet.
Well, I understand what you're saying. You don't know yet, but I'm saying I think what happens is those jobs just don't exist anymore. And unless those people that were running those jobs, which are menial jobs, right? You could teach anybody how to work at McDonald's in all of one shift. You got 1 8-hour shift. I can teach you how to run the fryer, and basically flip hamburgers, the whole thing. You can run almost every job at McDonald's just in one shift. So what I'm saying is, I don't know what those people do for a living when they can't do that. Maybe they're building robots.
Yeah, they do something different.
Right. But is there enough jobs for robots? Because
Yes.
every time you open up, you build 2 or 3 robots, you've eliminated multiple jobs. And these robots, one robot is eliminating probably 3 people because he doesn't stop working.
You just have to change and do something else.
Well, I understand.
Like
I'm
60
I'm
years
hoping
ago-
we still got YouTube.
Well, 60 years ago, cats were churning butter. Ma Betsy churning butter, and they're on the farm. And fast forward, everything is kind of automated. You've got the big machines that go down the farm, they get all the corn. Those people aren't jobless. They're just doing other things. Like you,
I
and
think
then
they're
there's
jobless. I
Well,
think it's over.
yeah,
I
no,
I think it devastates the economy.
Yeah, not at all. And
We'll be back here.
As we're evolving, there's more people being born into the country by the hundreds of thousands. It's just that these people are doing different things.
Okay, so I'm gonna go
It's
with
called evolution.
so 20. Let's schedule something. March 11th, 2035.
Okay.
We're gonna go 20. Let's go 2035.
Okay, let me jot that down.
35. I'll send you a
Calendar.
I'll send you a calendar invite.
invite.
And so in 2035, we're gonna come back here, and we'll figure it out. At that point, let's go. You want to what do you want to do? You want to go 2035? Yeah, let's go 2035. Hold on.
What am I doing then?
Here, hold on.
Christ.
Here it is right now.
Yeah, my Wednesday's booked up. Can we make it Thursday
Okay.
evening?
March Thursday. Let's go with. Oh no! See YX.
I come in
6.
studio.
Just
How's it going?
This is gonna be one of those situations where someone just shows up. You know what I mean? Where you just-
It is. I'll be like,
We were
Your
just
biggest-
talking
your
about
biggest
that.
fear. Wait, you have something going on that day?
There's old Jess. How you doing? I ain't seen you
Send. Okay, that's it.
in 10.
That's-
I'm not going to be that old in 10 years. Okay.
There you go. So I just scheduled it. So that's cool. So 10 years from now, we're gonna come back, and you're gonna be like, wow,
It's different.
You're right. Devastating. I mean, I think that you just start a war, and you just have people battle it out until you take out a good section of your society, and once you knock out a third of the society, then that's probably a better, easier number.
Okay. All right, Thanos.
I mean, then it's we'll come up with a reason to go to war and be like, yeah, we'll fight. We'll do the old fashioned on the battlefield trench warfare for 2 years, and that'll knock out 50 million people. And you'd be like, okay, 50. If we can get it up to 100 million, we're probably going to be okay with the fact that a third of our citizens are out of work because of these damn Tesla bots. Or they'll have to do some kind of a law or something where they're like, look, we have to slowly implement them into, so that we can slowly weave them into society, or some kind of universal. But you can't just have
assistants.
universal.
They're helpers.
They're helpers now.
It's gonna help with our society.
Have you used ChatGPT? Listen, bro, ChatGPT, you can have a conversation with it.
Yep.
And so what happens?
That's wonderful.
In 5 years from now, when that ChatGPT the AI is in the Tesla bot, and the Tesla bot isn't doing this anymore, where it's picking things up. So when it walks in, sits down, and says, "Hey, what's going on, Sex? What are you doing? What did I see your motorcycle outside? What are you doing?"
That will be the
go
advancement of our society. So now all of that tech will be integrated in what we do. It's not going to wean us out. It's just that how we're going to be.
I think I'm John Carter. Is it John Carter? What's the name of the guy on
the time guy, I think it was?
The Terminator. Connor.
Connor.
John Carter is the name of a character. It's John Carter.
That's
is on Mars.
That's Disney stuff.
Yeah. It was actually a comic book. So this is John Connor. So in the future, I think I'm John Connor, and I think that as he's walking through the ruin of one of the cities, I think you're one of the skeletons, because I'm prepared for what's happening. You think it's going to be the betterment. I think we need to start preparing now, because I'm telling you, it's going to go bad. It's going to go bad.
All through society, I think all through time, even when you look back in like the 70s, all the older guys, it's these advent of computers, it's the downfall of society. If you fast forward like
80s.
50 years, if you fast forward, like there's going to be new tech, and we're going to evolve. And things are going to be more computerized.
I'm saying I think that it's going to be devastating for the economy.
I don't think so.
I mean, I think it happens slowly, but I think it definitely destroys, especially if because you basically got a whole, millions of robots that are just taking regular jobs. What do those regular people? You're saying they do something else.
I don't think
know
they're
going to
take the jobs.
Really?
It'll just open up doors for things, because that's what's coming. Robots and assistants, that is what's coming. You can't strap on the horse and buggy anymore. Like, times are changing, so we as a society have to change. The robots the government is all. Time out. They're coming. So we have to adjust.
I know.
As a society.
I agree. And I'm not saying that they're not coming. I'm not saying that you won't adjust. I'm saying that when they do come, and when they are as good as humans, I think that is devastating for the economy, and that they will have to figure out a way, because you're going to have a ton of people that are just unemployed because there aren't new jobs. So you're going to have to come up with some kind of universal income to supplement those people. Which, listen, I have no doubt that if you had robots come in and it was generated by great AI and they were super smart, and you walked in and your doctor is a robot, probably going to be way better than the regular doctor.
I think that there will be a skilled doctor that handles the robot.
Maybe eventually. I don't know about you, but I'm watching Teslas right now that are driving themselves. I was in California, and I watched 4 or 5 while I was waiting for my Uber. You know what drove by me over the course of 10 or 15 minutes? 4 different self-driving cars with the little things on the top of them. They're I forget what they call them. But they drove by. I mean, I'm sitting there. There's nobody in this vehicle. Now, 2 of them, there were people in the vehicle. Another couple, there was nobody in it. They're going to pick up somebody. There was nobody sitting monitoring those. They're driving around. So I'm saying
they're safer drivers than some of these.
That's why I just said I wouldn't mind if the surgeon, if you walked in and there's 3 robots there and they said they're going to perform your surgery, I got no problem with that. I have no doubt that they're amazing. They're phenomenal. I just don't. And maybe there's a doctor who's monitoring 4 or 5 surgeries that's going on.
So
but
now we
but
don't have
eventually-
these waiting lists, and like it takes you till next year to get on the list. Now with the
No, now
assistance,
it's immediate.
Now it's we'll schedule you for Tuesday.
I mean, look, hey, then we get free healthcare, good free healthcare, not Canadian free healthcare, real free healthcare. Because you could buy a rope, you can buy a surgeon for $30,000 that works 24 hours a day. Like I understand, I understand that there's going to be some amazing leaps in technology, and your quality of life is going to be vastly improved. My problem is, I think that a lot of jobs are eliminated and there are no new jobs. So they have to come out with some kind of universal income, but you can't just make up money. It doesn't really work like that. So I'm wondering how that growing pain happens. That's what I'm curious about. That's what I think.
Remember when they were?
What I love too, by the way, is that neither one of us are qualified to talk about this, but we're doing great.
I'm actively searching for a quote that someone who is actively, he's like an ex-Google employee who's like focused on AI, and he went on the Diary of the CEO podcast, and I'm trying to find his exact quote from that podcast. So
What does he say?
the idea of you and I inevitably are going to be somewhere in the middle of nowhere in 10 years' time. I used to say 2055, but now I think it's more so 2037. We will not know if we're hiding from the machines. We don't know that yet. There's a likelihood that we'll be hiding from the machines, and there's a likelihood that we'll be hiding because there are no need for podcasters anymore. He was working for Google, and one of the stories he told on this podcast was they were trying to get these robots to pick up a yellow ball in the factory, and they couldn't pick it up. Using AI, they couldn't pick it up. It just never worked. And they were like about to cut the funding. They're just saying this program is just it's useless. And then one day, one of the machines picked up the yellow ball. And then they all go home for the day, and they come back. And then when they come in the office the next morning, all the hundreds or thousands, how many ever machines they have, they're all picking up the yellow ball every single time. And he was like, that was the pivotal moment that I decided to quit.
I think it's just like when Amazon came and everybody was like, oh, it's gonna just kill small business and the growth of Amazon. And I think Amazon evolved us as the way we do business, the way we shop. It changed Walmart. Now Walmart changes its whole business. Remember, Walmart was such a conglomerate because not only it was huge, but it was 24 hours, the convenience of Walmart, everything kind of evolves. Mm-hmm. And I think AI is the pivotal moment for America, and not even America, for the world. And once we develop AI, once we teach the computer to help us think, it will open up all these doors, like open up cures and for cancers, and because the AI will be able to think better and faster than we can.
They already have AI where, okay, so did you know that like every day there's like 7 or 8 different studies that come out on cancer every day?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you're a cancer doctor. Can you read 7 different studies on cancer every day? Okay, but AI can. And so they already have the system in place now for doctors. You know that you punch in you go on the doctor and they
MedMD.
Yeah, and they punch in. Even the doctors do it. Like at least at Coleman, they'd be like, okay, what's the problem? And they sit there and
put
they
all
would
the
put
symptoms
and it
in.
diagnoses you. This is what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
So 5-6 years ago, they were doing this before like AI. This is just when they were just able to put all of this into this system for medical system. And they had a group of doctors that came around and they would give this computer, I forget the name of the computer. I watched this on like 60 Minutes 10 years ago. And they would give it a case. And the case would end up saying, this person has this cancer. Here's the best treatment. And it would lay out the treatment. And the doctors were like, here's the thing. It was providing, in some ways, the exact same treatment we had already provided. In some ways, it was giving us alternatives. Like, look, based on these 3 recent, these three recent studies, clinical studies, you really should also include this or not do this because that's not what's working. Right. You need to do this. And so it was giving these alternatives, and they were like, it's coming up with better solutions based on newer information than we have. And these are like some of the top cancer fighting doctors, whatever they call them. I know that's not the right name, right. But these, and they were like, this is amazing. This was 10 years ago. So I get it that I think that's what happens is that machine is going to be smarter and faster and be able to be better. And I get that. My only problem is that you get to a point where maybe you don't need doctors anymore. And so my whole thing is, what does the doctor do?
Well, maybe it's called evolution.
Right. Or do you just start doing something like what is it, the Chinese, where you say, look, we can't keep. Well, first of all, our population right now, most populations in the world are decreasing,
and it has. I think it has always grown.
It has, but it will stop soon. You understand? We're not having children as fast as most countries aren't having children nearly as quickly as they were. You see that issue? You see the issue there?
I think the green is the total population numbers, and then the pink line is the rate of the increase. So it looks like from the 1900s right. to
so we're peaking here.
Yeah.
But in about 50 years from right now, do you see how it just trails off?
Yeah. So it looks like from these numbers, it says normally it's increasing by 1%, 2%, 2%, 2%, but over the last few years, it's gone from 2% to 1.5%, back to 1%, 0.5%. Like it's slowly starting to backtrack.
So we're decreasing, not quickly, but we are decreasing. In 50 years from now, it trails off and then it drops. And the major problem with that is, and you got to watch, if you watch these videos, watch 2 or 3 of them, whatever, you'll be like, holy shit. Luckily, you and I will be dead by this time. But the point is that what robots can probably fix the problem. So once it goes, not that they're going to populate, not that they're going to have babies, but once it gets up there, right, and it curves and it starts going down, because here's the problem, is that in the worst case scenario of it, the worst case example of it is in Japan and Germany. And China. I'm sorry, Japan, Germany, and China. Because in China, remember the one baby policy? Mm-hmm. So they did that for, I don't know, I'm going to say 50 years. Since what, the 60s or 70s? Probably. The reason they did that, I want to say Mao, I probably got that wrong too, is that he decided that there were too many peasants, like there's too many people, citizens, and they're going to eat us. First of all, they had a bunch of bad seasons for crops. There was starvation. And then they decided we'll go with one child per family, and that will decrease the population enough that we can feed them. Whether it did or not, I don't know. But they stuck with that for 50 years because they have a massive population. So what happened is that the problem with that is that if you wanted a baby and you had a baby and it was a little girl, you're chucking it down the well. Or you're taking that baby and you're sending it off to be adopted in America. There was a time in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, where if you wanted to adopt a child, you could get a little girl from China. Cheap. They're just giving them away. You used to see people walk away. You see gay couples walking around, or just couples in general walking around with a little Chinese girl.
Wow.
Constantly. So what happened is, here's the problem, is that there's a gap, right? Like as people retire, you need someone there to work those jobs and take care of you. That working class has shrunk. And because there were a ton, for every one male in China, for every like 3 women, for every one male in China, there's like 3. Is there 3 women? No, there are more men than women. That's what it is. The problem is that man is marrying one woman, and you've got a couple of women that aren't having children or aren't married. And so what's happening is your working class is shrinking, but your retirement people are retiring. So they're retiring, and there's nobody there to take care of them. And the income that they're making is no longer being pumped back into the system. And the people that are working, that should be growing, is shrinking. So that tax base is also shrinking. So you have fewer people to take care of. And even worse, the old people, when they retire, are living longer. Now, it's happening in a really bad place. It is in China, Japan, and Germany. And mostly Japan and Germany. The issue with Japan and Germany is that a ton of their population died off during the war. And then after the war, it took decades for them to regroup and rebuild their income. Their economy. And as a result, they weren't having kids. You're poor, you don't have kids. Like the governments over there aren't helping you raise your kids. They're not giving you. There's no welfare.
Yeah, there's no
there's no
welfare.
fucking food stamps. You just don't have kids. Yeah. So there was decades where they just weren't having kids, and now the problem is now they started having kids again. Well, let's say right now you say, okay, well let's start having kids. Great, it's 20 years before they're working. The problem's happening right now. People are retiring right now. It's shrinking now. If you start having kids now, it's the economy's completely collapsed by the time you have kids that are ready to work.
To back up what you're saying, some of the gender ratio at birth in China is around 110 males to every 100 females, which is the highest in the world. This gender imbalance is expected to lead in declining of birth rates and marriage squeeze in the next 20, 30 years.
And that's 20, 30 years. So that's 50, 2000. So that's 2050, 2060. Yeah. What is it in 2080? It's collapse. There's tons of people that are retired, and there's not enough people working. And those people that are working, let's say you say, well, to pay for these people, care, let's tax the shit out of them. So we tax the shit out of them. So now there's that middle class that has kids, they're poor. They don't have kids anymore. So it compounds the problem because they're not having kids anymore. You basically have to pay them to have kids. And if you go right now to Japan and stuff, they're paying people to have kids. We'll give you free healthcare. We'll give you, they're desperate to have children. The Japanese are allowing mass immigration into their country. They don't like anybody, by the way. So they're allowing anybody to come because their whole population is shrinking, and they're old. The old people are retiring, and these fuckers are living. These people live all long time, and they need things that they don't have enough of a working class to provide. It's an issue. Do you ever watch those videos where you can buy a house in Japan? There are brand new houses you can buy for $4,000, $5,000, $10,000.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God, bro. You got to watch this. You could go right now. They've got guys that have YouTube channels where they're just renovating. They're going and getting a house for 10 grand. That's 2,000 square feet, and they're renovating the whole house. And they're like, you understand that not the entire country, but that throughout the entire country, there are just abandoned houses. Somebody died. They had no children. They had no heirs. The house is abandoned. And the city takes the house back and they sell it. Who are we going to sell it to? Nobody wants to buy the house. Why? Because housing is so cheap. You're just giving me something I have to renovate and keep up. And what am I going to do? I can't rent it. The population is shrinking. We got plenty of houses. So foreigners are coming in and they're letting them come on in. Come on in.
Where it used to be not the case at all.
No, of course. You couldn't immigrate to, if you were a black guy and you wanted to immigrate to Japan, that's not happening. An American? Absolutely not. You want to come over from Germany or fuck you. These people are extremely racist. Now, they're like, listen, it's not a big deal. Come on. They need that. The only thing I could think that might help that is robots. Because now robots could take care of these old people. Robots can do things much, much cheaper. If I can buy a doctor, the best doctor around for 30 grand, and I can finance him. Or nurse. Do you know what my mother's nursing care was? 24. She's in a nursing home, had her own private nurses, which my sister paid for out of my mother's savings and retirement. It was like 150 to 150,000 and change to have 24-hour care for my mother. And she, of course, paid for her condo was paid for in the retirement home. Can you imagine? It's roughly $200,000 to take care of your mother nonstop if she needs to be retired.
Right.
That's if you don't want to do it. well, what if I could just buy a Tesla robot for $30,000? He doesn't need a break. He doesn't work 40 hours a week. He works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I
and for
can
30
monitor,
grand.
and I can monitor the Tesla bot.
Yeah, you don't even have to monitor because in 10 years they will be so good at what they're doing. I mean, yeah, you could monitor it, but I mean, they will be truly like the best
Autonomous.
nurse ever. He'll never get frustrated with your mom. He'll never snap at her. He'll never be
And that's
spiteful.
a part of the future.
I hear you.
I don't fear that. I look forward to that. I don't think that it's gonna take away jobs and all of that. I
do
think
because
that.
those 3 women that were taking care of my mom, they don't get to take care. They don't have to take. Now, in a good
So
way, it's in a
they'll-
good way.
they'll- So,
but it's also a bad way.
Still be a need for human
but not-
supervision.
But not 3.
Okay, so the other 2 have to do something else. They're not going to be like, oh,
Well, not even 2.
I can't do that.
I don't think you need supervision. You're not supervising vehicles that are driving by themselves. You don't need supervision in 10 years when these things are amazing. That's my whole thing. This has gone on forever. We're 2 fucking knuckleheads talking about stuff we know no business talking about.
hence the podcast.
Hey, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Also, please go and subscribe to Six's channel. It is called the
Crime Chronicles.
The link is in the description box. We're trying to get Six to his channel monetized. He just got 1,000 subscribers. He needs to watch hours. Do me a favor, go there, watch some of his longer videos so we can get the watch hours up so he can get monetized. Really do appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. See ya.